Okay, it's another beautiful day in Wisconsin, and I'm standing in front of the Sport Acro and 123 Sierra X-Ray, and this has become our turbo demonstrator. So only a couple of things to point out here that are a little different than our standard AeroVee. We've got a pretty wicked prop on this one. That's a WC56JJ5L52. That's what we'll be flying today. And being the Sport Acro, it's got a little more aileron, tail dragger configuration, but it's got half span aileron and half span flap, as opposed to the standard Sonex config of 1/3 aileron and 2/3 flap, approximately. And here's the new machine tail wheel that we'll be flying today. So you get a really nice picture over the nose, gives you quite a bit more ground clearance. Been very, very happy with that product, and now that's standard in all of our stuff. So let's go flying. Welcome aboard 123 Sierra X-Ray. This is a Sonex Sport Acro that has the large ailerons on it and the half span flaps. So today, this has actually become our turbo demonstrator. So today I look forward to showing you the capability of the new AeroVee Turbo, which we are rating at 100 horsepower. And in my opinion, from the flight data that you're about to see, it does all of that. We'll go through the systems here before I go to startup. I do have a full fuel on board, so I had just filled up. So full fuel tank. That's in this airplane about 16 gallons on the nose. Going from left to right here, I have my throttle, my trim system, my brake, and my flap. The brake is the red handle here, and I currently have, in this airplane, we have it set up so that you can actually set a parking brake. It's the mechanical brakes, which in my opinion work very, very well when they're set up properly. So we have that engaged, and you hook the brake to the flap lever and then pull one notch of flaps, gives you a nice brake lever. So underneath the panel now, I'm just going to, with my toe, slide the main fuel valve forward before startup here, and left to right the rest of the panel. We got mixture control, the primary and the secondary ignitions are here. We've got our starter, our master switch, our instrument master, and then we have a strobe in position. We've got the MGL Extreme, Stratomaster Extreme in here with a little data card, so we'll also be able to download and share flight data there. I've taken quite a few flights in this airplane now as we've proven the turbo system, so that will be available. We also have the MGL V6 radio, the little one. I've just been very, very pleased with both of these instruments, and you'll see them as we do these flight tours. They're appearing in more and more of our fleet for that reason. So I'm going to go ahead and start up. I turn the primary and secondary ignition on. I turn my master and my instrument on, and then I do have a parking brake held right now, so I'm going to go mixture full rich, and then I'm going to yell, "Clear prop!" And that's what the turbo sounds like, at least from the cockpit perspective. So now on the MGL Extreme, I'm gonna, you don't have quite a head-on view of it. So it's important to note that you might not be able to read the things on it, but again, we're data recording, so we'll be able to look at that stuff later. As I scroll through the radio, I just hit the right button just to get it to a memory mode. So I like to head on over to ATIS. And now in my headphones, I'm hearing the ATIS of the airport. So I'm going to go ahead and release the brake and pull on forward. And you've heard me in some of these other flight tour videos, and you will continue to hear me talk about the great benefits of the direct steering tail wheel. So we don't use brakes to steer. You can see I'm not doing anything with my hands. At this point on a relatively calm day, I'm comfortable just bringing it just above idle and steering with my feet. So this is what a turn in a Sonex looks like, not touching anything. I'm just able to do a nice simple S-turn. Now I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to pull the brake. And this is known as, where we are, the taxiway Kilo.
We're about to turn on to taxiway Juliet as we get ready for flight here. If you can't see the RPM, I've got a really nice idle. Now the layout to warm up a little bit. It's actually just turned yellow, but I've got a really nice idle between 900 and 1,000 RPM, and I enjoy that. That's a good, good, comfortable place to put your idle position. So I'm going to pull up here to runway 27. So now we are turning to face due north here at Oshkosh. The lake will be on our right and Highway 41 on our left at this point. The terminal straight ahead. So I'm going to move over to tower frequency. I love that you can program the memory and just switch back and forth. Really easy to switch back and forth with the frequencies. No toggling or having to dial in any frequencies. So there we are with that. I'm going to go ahead and call the tower. We're going to depart. We'll just do a few traffic as I talk you through touch and goes, but I want you to see the capabilities of this pretty awesome flying machine. Oshkosh Tower, experimental 123 Sierra X-ray. I'm at runway 27, ready to go, pattern. Roger, 36, you're clear for takeoff. Right traffic on the go. We'll report midfields and watch for the mowers. Great sign of summer. So, we're pulling on to runway 27. And I'm going to actually pull it up because we can do a takeoff distance. We did this with the subsonics as kind of a fun activity. This is the displaced threshold, so I'm going to pull it right up to the displaced threshold and stop. And you'll be able to see this displaced threshold on Google Earth. So that's right where we're going to start our takeoff run. And I'm not going to work it too hard. So remember, I'm not even trying to minimize takeoff distance, but I want to show you what it does. So I'm going to slowly come on power. I'm currently at 1200 RPM is where I'm starting. And I am going to take the throttle up to a higher manifold pressure. I'm going to actually let this accelerate. I'm going to keep adding power until I hit 40 inches of manifold pressure. And I'll call the RPM in a minute. There's 36. I'm way off the ground already. And there is 40 inches of MAP. I'm climbing out now at 90 miles an hour, almost on the nose. You can see how hard I'm working to hold that. What's nice about this dial speed, I can just dial myself up a little trim, hold 40 inches of manifold pressure. I'm seeing well over 1,000 feet a minute now, and 3120 RPM with the turbo. So it's turning this wicked prop over 3,100 RPM, which is telling me right now, without knowing anything else, that it's making really good power. And I have had an absolute blast flying this thing around Oshkosh. And there is pattern altitude. So I'm going to go ahead and level off, 1,800 feet. And I haven't even gotten to Highway 41 yet. So I'm going to turn abruptly right traffic to stay right on Highway 41. And now I'm going to show you how we can accelerate this thing. I'm going to turn up the radio a little bit. And as I level off, manifold pressure wants to increase because the RPM increases. So I'm backing off the throttle a little bit. I'd estimate this to be about 85% throttle position. I'm going to go to 100% in just a minute. We'll figure out what that is. Just above pattern altitude because it still wants to climb. There I am tracking along in a crosswind component, easily doing, let's take my climb element out of it here. I'm doing 153 miles an hour without breaking a sweat. 160 true airspeed on my readout. That's just screaming at pattern altitude. I love it. So now I'm going to roll out, even with the river here. There's the big quarry to our right. And I'm almost midfield. And we're going to do ourselves a low approach. Oshkosh Tower, experimental Sonex, 123 Sierra X-ray, midfield, right downwind 27, low approach. X-ray, cleared low approach number 2. Okay, so I'm gonna let it go here. We'll do, while we wait for this guy to land, we're gonna go ahead and level off. Let me do a little bit of a turn over the city of Oshkosh. And we're gonna see what this thing can do full power. So now I'm gonna give it straight level. Here is full power, and it's just on the edge of about 43.4 inches of manifold pressure. At now 2,400 feet, which is just over pattern altitude. So there is 170 indicated, 181, 182 true airspeed at 43.5 inches of manifold pressure. Gotta love this thing, just gotta love it. So now you can see my EGTs were coming up. My CHTs are beautiful. Well, my EGTs were coming up to just over 1,400, which is where I put my warning sign. Just gonna dial that back a little bit. Okay, so now I'm turning a base lag, and you're gonna see Whitman Airport coming to view in just a second. And we're gonna get right down on the deck and do a flyby at VNE. 197 miles an hour in that, which we are almost at. There's 192 indicated. 201 true airspeed, gotta love that. And there you'll see one of those big pelicans that patrols Lake Winnebago with me. Got almost an 8-foot wingspan, the great white pelican. All right, I'm gonna come right down on the deck. We're gonna do a pull out and have some fun. So weird. Screaming right down runway 27. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! This is so fun. Just gonna let it accelerate down the runway. A few bumps, it's mid-afternoon, so we have some nice lift to those of you that are glider pilots. What do you say we go for a ride? Woo! So there again, I'm just looking at manifold pressure, so you can fly like the old, the Cubs. We just used RPM as our throttle setting, and now we're kind of making an adjustment with this to just use manifold pressure as our throttle setting. So here I'm climbing out at right again at 40 inches of manifold pressure. And now I'm doing a 100-mile-an-hour climb out on this one. Just under 1,000 feet a minute, but not too shabby at all. And we're at better altitude. Now we're already turning crosswind here. So you can see me flying this airplane. If you dial everything in properly and level it off, I mean, the thing will fly hands off. Get bounced around a little bit on a mid-afternoon day like this, but you just stay the course. You can see most of the time I'm flying with just a couple of fingers, the equivalent of a couple of fingers pressure. So, the higher up on the stick you hold it, the less pressure it takes. And now I'm just gonna level off here and accelerate again at holding 40 inches of manifold pressure. About 8 gallons of gas per hour. Hard to go that fast on 8 gallons of gas and anything else. Tower 1236, for midfield right downwind 27, request another low approach. 36 X-ray, clear low approach. So now I'm just going to let it run here on downwind. And you can see I'm looking at about plus 200 feet a minute. Now that's about level. The Sonex, another nice visual is that nice Hershey bar wing. Provides a nice flat line that you always have as a reference to the horizon. So I'm always looking at that. There's 169, 170 true airspeed. 164 indicated. Not too shabby. All right, let's go get 27. This airplane just begs to be yanked and banked. Oh, that we finally got our airspeed warning. I'll pull that back. 205. All right. Folks, don't try this at home. PNE of this airplane, 197. Leave this to the experts. So here I come over the fence. To be honest, 205 feels a lot like 197, so you don't need to push it this much. Down we come on to 27. Now I'm just pulling, tugging along at 35 inches of manifold pressure with this throttle setting. Now let's blast out of here. So I'm going to add a little bit of power just to give me back to 40 inches. And you know, probably the most pleasant surprise of this whole turbo experience, because we've been working on this for years. Not continuously, because we have all these other awesome projects going on, like the jet and the 1X continued development, and thank you all customers for all that great support. But we just have a ton of things going on at any given time. There's pattern altitude. So it's been hard to just focus on this, despite us knowing this is what everyone wanted. So I've been focusing on it now for about 6 months, that and the jet, that little project. But I think what we've got here is a package that will do everything we promised and then a little bit. It's universal, so it can be installed in just about, well, any of our fleet of aircraft. Most pleasant surprise, by far, to me, has been the temperatures. CHTs are like you drew a line across the CHTs. The EGTs are like you drew a line across it. You know, here I am putting along at, let's increase the manifold pressure. I'll read you some temperatures. I'll bring it up to 35. Finish sketch tower 123 steps. Midfield right down 127. Touch and go. Please actually clear, touch and go. Have that traffic departing. So here I am, 370, 370, 320, 320. Beautiful. 1140, 1140, 1200, 1200. Those are the CHTs and EJTs, respectively. And if you go look at our book, that's right in the middle of the green arc. It's right where we want to be. So you take care of this engine, you don't run it too hard, you're going to get an outstanding service life, and easily you're going to get 100 horsepower out of it. So what more could I want from a small, light plane like this? So I'm pulling up, I'm at 100 miles an hour. Wow, I blew right over the numbers. No worries, I'm going to pull some flaps. There's one notch in this. I'm all the way back at the stop, up trim. I'm just holding a little bit of back pressure now to bleed off my airspeed. I'm going to go full flaps right over the fence. There's the orange dot, or what will be a bright orange dot in just a couple of weeks. I'm pulling back, I'm just bleeding off airspeed. I'm not working too hard. Don't work too hard. Stick full back. A little bit of crosswind component, so I had to add a little bit of right stick, as you saw. Get me right back on the center line. Now I bled off all my airspeed, I'm going 40. Full power, here we go. There's the number 2, and we're off. I'll have to Google Earth that or look at our cloud ahoy, but that wasn't very much runway right there. So this is very much our entry, other than the Xenos. This turbo-powered Sonex YX1X. This is our short takeoff and land entries right here. So here we are, 1,100 feet a minute. I'm at full throttle now, so I'm doing 43.5 inches of manifold pressure, climbing out at 90 miles an hour. And it's a rocket ship, not quite to Highway 41. Now I'm at Highway 41. And I'm now at pattern altitude, so I'm going to lower the nose and pull the stick back. Saw plus 1,600 feet a minute for that last little bit. I'll take it. Very 3300 Jabiru-esque with the little AeroVee Turbo in it. So now we're going to level off, pull it around, and now I will challenge myself in this landing to plan ahead, not get so chatty, which is hard for me to do, I understand. But I'm going to try to hit the numbers 2.7 and fairly comfortably make the cutoff at alpha. So that'll give you a very good visual, just past the displaced threshold, what I can get down and stopped in. So now I'm set up on a very comfortable power setting on this downwind. I'm at 24 inches of pressure, 25, 30 RPM with this big prop. I'm going 120 miles an hour, 123 true, and I'm burning 4 gallons an hour. Wow. All right, I'm gonna pull the stick back a little, or pull the power back further. Now let's go see if we can do a nice spot landing here with a stop and turn out. And tower, Sonex 123 Sierra X-ray, midfield right down 27, full stop. 3 Sierra X-ray, go to land 27. Pull up the nose here. Gorgeous day. We've had great weather here at Oshkosh, finally. And we deserved it after the winter we just had. Winter of 2013/14 was one to quickly forget for the whole country, I think. So nice to have this. Hopefully most of you can make it to AirVenture, which is just a couple of weeks away. So here we come on base leg. I'm right even with, right underneath me is Oshkosh's Main Street, right on the water. Turns into 45. All right, so here I am putting along at 80 miles an hour. Feels great. 1 notch of flaps on my base leg. And at 80 miles an hour, I'm seeing descent rates of 680 feet a minute, 700 feet a minute with 1 notch of Sport Acro flaps. Let me do the 2nd notch of Sport Acro flaps, slow it down. 80 miles an hour. I'm idling right at 1,000 RPM. Now it's dropping like a stone, minus 1,100 feet a minute. Get back on the center line here. I have a little bit of right crosswind. It's kicked up a little bit since we took off, but you can still see the flag is basically limp. So 77, 76 over the fence, 73. Just gonna hold it off till we get past the displaced threshold. And there I'm down. Whoop. Get centered, I get spoiled at Whitman. Give me just a touch of brake. I don't even need it, but to make alpha, I'll just give myself a touch of brake. Lisa X-ray, left turn alpha, back to Sonex. Thanks, have a great day. All right, so now we're easily made that. Touch the wheels down right at the displaced threshold. And I was, my rollout, you saw it. I was able to just apply a little brake and pull off at alpha. So, you know, if I do nothing else in this airplane, I can do that every day for, what's our flight time? 24 minutes. And just have an absolute blast. Just have a blast. So now again, just to go through the systems one more time. Left to right, I got my throttle. I'm pulling just a little bit of brake, and that's the only time other than that rollout that you'll see me touch the brake. I mean, you just don't need it if you idle and taxi correctly. I don't even have my hand on the stick because the wind is so calm. If I was, I'd use standard tail wheel protocol and hold back on the stick like this. Even freeze up that hand and do other stuff. And just stay on the center line. That's the hardest part about taxiing the thing. You just gotta look. I love doing a little bit of ass taxi. See, most of the time, if you see me taxiing a Sonex, I'll do that just for safety. I can see all the way down to the ground, and with just a little bit of a turn, just a couple of feet in every direction, that increases your level of safety a great deal, especially when we're talking about auto ops and other things in this area. So now I just turned down the Lima taxiway, and I just got an oil pressure low alarm. Of course it's low because I'm idling 700 RPM right now. And For the pressures I saw and the temperatures, I saw oil temps of right around 170 through that entire flight. I was working that thing really hard. That's in degrees Fahrenheit. And the continuous oil pressure with this turbo, with the 3 quarts of oil like you're supposed to put in it, was right at between 45 and 50 psi. That makes me happy. And if you're disciplined about keeping taking good care of your engine, it's going to take good care of you. And you're going to get an awful lot of running time on this AeroVee before you have to do any of the other maintenance. Good news is, if you do have to do the routine maintenance, it's just a few $100s for the parts. So I think we're sitting just beautifully with this product. So I'm glad you came flying with me today. I'm going to go ahead and do the shutdown. And the basic procedure is to do everything I did to start up in reverse. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull the mixture to lean. That cuts it off. I'm going to go ahead and turn all the switches off. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the main fuel off. And we're done flying for the day. So thanks for coming along with me. And I look forward to flying with you again real soon.